definitely look up. But so let's talk about networking, the gift that keeps on giving. Adrian doesn't usually need an introduction because I feel like everybody knows you, but I will say I think it's been really cool to see the newest part of your chapter in multifamily, which is your Multifamily X consulting group, which has many layers to it. And I'll let you kind of talk about the different divisions within that. But for those that for those of you that don't know, that he actually started way back in the day, 20 years ago, as a part-time groundskeeper. And look at him today. I mean, he's obviously seriously passionate about maintenance, but he's also passionate, I would say, about disrupting the norm. I think that's fair to say, about maybe doing things a little unconventionally and not how everyone else is doing it. And I think that's part of how his brand and his LinkedIn presence has grown so exponentially, is that you're really kind of doing it your own way. And so I think if you can give everyone just kind of a brief introduction on you, and then we'll open the floor to questions, because I want to make sure people get a chance to talk to you. And fun fact, if you don't know this, you used to be a lawyer. And that was one of the craziest, like, eye-opening, that you were a lawyer in Romania, right? Yeah, okay.
The bar exam, but never practiced as a lawyer. I could have, because I passed the bar exam. Never had the opportunity. Yeah, but I did.
So I will give you the floor and then we'll open it up to questions, but I'm very excited for you to be here. And this call is recorded for people who couldn't make it, but take it away, Mr. Adrian.
How long do I have? Like, do I have
30 minutes, man.
30 minutes, you got it. Okay. So as Tara said, I'm originally from Romania. I've been there since I've been here in the United States since 2003. Came in a country not knowing much of English. Like I could tell you the words that I wouldn't like do in a public setting, right? Those are the only words that I knew at the time. So being a legal counselor, a law school graduate, like that was a totally different thing. So I came over here. A friend of mine one day told me I was looking for a full-time job. I wanted to get $10 an hour and a full-time job. The friend of mine said, hey, there's some job openings, groundskeeper job openings at Georgia Tech. So I went ahead and I applied, but nobody called. But then the groundskeeper work stuck with me. So I went back online and I started applying for all the groundskeeper jobs that I could find in the Atlanta area. Finally got a part-time job at apartment community, turned into a full-time, and then the story went on. So for 20 years, I've been around. I stepped out for about a year, and I went on a vendor site for a company that provides maintenance services for single and multifamily operators. Then came back into multifamily early this year, and I got laid off twice this year. Second time I got laid off, I decided that I'm gonna go work for myself. So about 2.5 months ago, I started building Multifamily X Consulting, short for that. Multifamily X, right? It's really easy to remember that. So I'm having a ball. Like I get up at 3-4 o'clock in the morning. I work until 8-9 o'clock at night, and nobody's really pushing me to do that. I'm just excited. Like I get up, I'm excited, and it's a hell of a journey, right? I wouldn't change this for anything. So Multifamily X, a few things about Multifamily X, right? So I'm trying to build like 12 different verticals, fractional maintenance services, consulting for property management companies, consulting for vendors, consulting for prop tech companies, consulting for industry professionals, like career coaching. And I'm also building a media company, right? It's probably like such a grandiose, plan to hear. I'm a one-man media company, right? So I started the second podcast this week. Tara just mentioned that, we had a hiccup. The invite that I sent to our guest was he's supposed to start at the time when we were supposed to finishing the episodes. So he had no clue that he's supposed to be on for 30 minutes. We got a hold of him. We started 30 minutes late. We made up for it. I think we had a, great first episode, and we're going to do those live episodes every single Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. By the way, if you're around next Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to have a Savannah Wheeler, the CEO of Apartment Snapshot. What we're doing over there is we're inviting executives in the industry to share their wisdom. They're individuals that typically you can't reach out to in person. Like they're not, they're out of reach, like they're executives. They do their executive thing, right? So we bring them on for an hour. We have them share their wisdom. We take questions from the audience. We give all of you the opportunity to ask questions and to actually get access to those executives for an hour of that particular day. And then we also look for rising stars in the industry, people that are doing amazing jobs where they at. They just don't have a national presence. So we want to elevate those individuals, help them get on a national stage. Hopefully we're able to do that. I do this with a co-host. It's not on my own. So I'm doing with Neda Urias. She's a amazing individual professional. She started her entrepreneurial journey about the same time as I did. So we have a little flexibility right now in our schedules. We make our own schedules so we could show up every Thursday at 3 p.m. and meeting with you all and hopefully providing value to you all. I also have a podcast that I started 2 years ago. You see it, it's right there in my background, right? I'm 93 episodes in and counting. I'm recording between this week and next week, like 3 more, so stay tuned. And this week, I'm starting recording episodes for my third podcast, Multifamily X Podcast. That's going to have like 8 different subcategories of podcasts. So wherever you are in the industry, you're going to find a podcast that is for you, right? Whether you're a leasing individual, a leader, or you want to look at leaders, what they have to say, to share, whether you're a maintenance person or marketing or a vendor or a prop tech company or HR or a recruiter, that's going to be the place for you. So we're trying to build so much content, like a library of content with wisdom from the best in the industry. That's going to be Multifamily X Podcast. Why am I doing this? I think that events like the one we're part of today are amazing. And it's amazing that Tara records this and is going to put it out to the world for those that couldn't join us in person today to hear and listen to. But also, we do not enough of this, right? Typically, it's the industry events, the conferences. A small fraction of multifamily folks participate to industry conferences for many reasons, right? Financial reasons, time reasons. So most people are out of this circuit of conferences. Okay, well, we want to bring people that go to conferences and leadership to their homes, to them. They could, pick up their phone and listen to a conversation or watch that conversation. There's a void. It's not enough public conversation in our space. And without having those conversations, we can expect for things to advance, to bring us to 2023, 2024, and to the future without having those real conversations. And one of the ways, right, besides just in-person conversations, is to create environments, create platforms like I am trying to create, to bring people on and just to blast this content to the public out there that otherwise wouldn't have access to those individuals and their wisdom.
You're basically like the Oprah of multifamily.
I am.
I mean,
actually,
right?
I should have brought my wig, my Oprah wig with me. I promise next time you invite me, I'm going to have my Oprah wig with me. I'm going to wear it.
I mean, you're basically talking about like this empire, these shows, your mission, like it's you are the Oprah of multifamily. We're gonna say it today. Adrian is the new Oprah of multifamily. I'm coining that. So
it's very interesting that you're saying that because a couple of years ago, one of my bosses, like a really big boss of the company I was working for, introduced me to some investors as the networking king. And then he paused and said, or queen. So I'm not sure what he meant by that, but he did say it in front of the investors. So I take I take the Oprah. I don't feel like a queen, but Oprah all day long.
Well, I love what Kendra just put. You get a podcast. You get a podcast.
Exactly. You're all invited to my podcast now.
I love that. So I have a bunch of questions, but I don't want to take over. So what I want to do is give you guys the floor first because I want to make sure because I get to talk to Adrian all the time. Um, and that's one of the best things about him is even though he wakes up at 3:30 in the morning and doesn't sleep and is doing 47 shows, he still makes time for people. He makes time for anybody. It doesn't matter how long he's known you. And he's super genuine. And by that, for anyone that's listening to this who's looking for a mentor, he has agreed, I don't know how, that he has the bandwidth to take on somebody as a mentee. It does not have to be someone in maintenance. So please don't think that that's the only thing that he's good at. He's good at a variety of things. That's why he has a variety of shows. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But I'd love to just, if you want to just raise your hand. Whoever wants to kick off question first, or I can start, but I want to make sure everyone gets a chance to talk to Adrian today and fire away that burning question you've always wanted to ask Oprah. I mean, Adrian.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Yeah. I'm waiting for someone to see if they have one. If not, I'll jump in. But does anyone want to ask a burning question or do you want me to just go?
Hey, let's go ahead and kick it off. And I think we have the hand raising thing, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna look for hands that are raised, and we take questions from anyone and everyone. No problem.
Okay. So what I will say to just kind of kick it off is you've got 20 years in multifamily, starting off as a groundskeeper. One of the things that we talk about, Adrian and I have done a lot of maintenance roundtables in the past, and we're talking about recruiting, not just recruiting maintenance professionals, but as you all know, most of us got into multifamily by accident. We all have like that fun story. And we're not, one of the things that he's really good at is shaking up like the traditional recruiting techniques. And one thing I'll say that I think, Adrian, if you can kind of like give some insight on how to be comfortable with recruiting outside of our industry. I've seen in years past, I do it, not everybody's comfortable with it, but like recruiting your Uber driver, the guy that's helping you at the airport, the person who's helping you, getting your coffee at the gas station. In the spirit of networking, is there some advice you can give to this group and anyone that's listening on how to be more comfortable with like recruiting others into our industry, just in casual conversation?
Well, first of all, you have to believe that this is the place to be, right? Like if you're not believing in a mission, like if you're not happy where you're at, I don't think that you could be an ambassador for the industry. I mean, honestly, why would you bring someone to the same place where you feel miserable, right? And it's just kind of like a 9 to 5 or something that sucks. It's part of your life that is not great. So first of all, I don't think that I speak to those individuals. Like they have many questions to figure out on their own. But for those of you here that are passionate about being in an industry, I think this is kind of a natural thing, right? And even though it might not come natural for you to be the outgoing person to start to kick off conversations, I think that it's a challenge that I challenge you to take this, because believe it or not, I'm not an extrovert. I don't feel like I'm an extrovert. So I go out of my way to initiate conversations, to connect with people. And actually, one of the reasons why I started my first podcast was because I wanted to put myself in uncomfortable situations, like talking to someone knowing that other people will watch that conversation. Because the more of that I do, I think that hopefully, right, I'm hoping the better I'll get at it. So make yourself uncomfortable. And this goes for anything in life. But make yourself uncomfortable, initiate a conversation with someone, share them great stories about your journey in multifamily. And you never know. I had a young lady not too long ago, actually, the day of our networking event at NAA. She was a bartender. She was serving at a bar right there. And I told her, first of all, I told her about LinkedIn. I asked her about LinkedIn. She didn't know, right? She didn't know about the platform. So I pull out my phone. I show it to her. I show her the app. I told her what LinkedIn is about, and I encouraged her to create an account. And I said, when you create an account, make sure that you connect with me. Like, this is me. So I put my profile. I said, take a picture of this. When you decide to be on LinkedIn, like, connect with me. And she had amazing customer service skills. I told her, like, look, you could make a killing in leasing apartments. Not to say that this is not maybe a great job for you, but I'm telling you, like, if you ever decide to make a change, and you could do this anywhere in this country, it doesn't have to be in Atlanta, it could be in Florida, it could be in Hawaii, you could pick your place and just like go places, see places, live at a property for a discount and make a killing, make a lot of money. Like, this could be for you. I'm not sure if she took that to heart or not, but I felt compelled to do that because I saw so much potential in her. And I know that someone like her, if that switch is getting flipped one day and she decides to be in a multifamily, she's gonna be a superstar.
I love that. One of the things that people, and it was funny because we kind of were joking, but not last week when we were at Optech, I was telling somebody, I was like, yeah, and Adrian has like, I don't know, 26,000 followers or something. And you're like, actually, I'm like a little over 28,000 followers on LinkedIn. And I think we laughed about it, right? Because it's astounding to me how you have built a personal brand. Each one of us is building a personal brand, whether you are intending to or not, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever that looks like. Each one of us is building a personal brand. How would you, like, what advice would you give to people in our industry who have a LinkedIn profile? I think it can be overwhelming to think like, how do I get from 500 followers to 28,000? But what would you kind of say has been like your like the sweet spot, the ticket to get you such engagement and the followers that you have today?
Over a decade of working a part-time job, thousands of hours of engagement. There's no secret to this. The way you get from 500 to be specific to answering your question, the way you get to from 500 to 10,000, you got to get to 501 first, and then to 502 and to 503. It's one at a time. It's not a jump. It's hard to, like, if you imagine that there's magic, for me, it wasn't. Maybe other people have a better way, maybe they know the hacks, how everybody likes to say, hacks. I don't have any hack. For me, it's been thousands of hours of really a lot of behind the scenes stuff that you do not see, like personal messages, DMs, maybe helping someone that needed something that wasn't visible on a platform in my feed. That's how I build my thing. And I make the first step. I don't expect that people will reach out and connect. I go to my list every single week. You get 100 invites. You could invite 100 people. When you go to your profile out there's like 2 people together. There's an icon on top. You click on that, and that's gonna give you certain people from your circle, whether it's the area that you live in, or the industry that you're in, or hashtags that you're following. And you pick all of those people and you send them invites. And again, you could do like up to 100 a week. If you do that every week, you could have potentially 400 new connections every month. And while you're doing that, when someone reaches out and say he's great connecting with you, don't ignore them, right? Like, of course, we all get like 1,000 probably of cold messages trying to sell. Someone tried to say that he's gonna help me with my dentistry practice, and and my answer was, I don't do that. I don't dentistry, bro. That's exactly why I responded to him. But outside of that, people that genuinely want to connect, and you could tell by the way they word their messages, my suggestion is to not ignore them. Like, start a connection, start some report out there. And there's a lot of people that need help. There's a lot of people that feel lonely. We're extremely fortunate that we're here in this setting today, and we have others to look out for us, to go to. Realize, please, that most people don't. And that's the person that you could become, just helping others without expecting anything in return. Not a transactional type of thing, not reaching out because you need something in return. Literally just putting yourself out there and give more than you take. I think this is very important. I think people notice. And if you're becoming a genuine person that, that way, I think this is gonna help you naturally, like organically, if you want grow your network. And people will notice when you do that. And they also will know when you're genuine or not.
They will. And Paul, I see your hand up. I'll give you the floor in one sec, but the one thing I will, just to underscore what you just said, people tease me, but on LinkedIn, my middle name is Networking Takes Work. The key part of network in the word is work. And so to your point, Adrian, there's not a magic secret sauce. It's devotion and time. It's another job, but it's about the genuine connection. So thank you for sharing that. Paul, why don't you take the floor, my friend?
Howdy. Hey, Adrian, I'll see you soon again. But
Hey, soon, my friend.
Today's question for you, when you're networking and putting yourself in these awkward situations, is there a common theme or obstruction that people think that the apartment industry is, and why they would not be interested in coming to multifamily? Is there a common thread that you hear on a regular basis? Granted, I'm asking from a maintenance standpoint because of being selfish, but even beyond that, as an industry as a whole, is there a commonality that you hear?
Yeah, I think that the commonality that I hear is that they don't even realize that there's such an industry. Like, it's such a thing as having a career in multifamily. Of course, they know the apartments exist. Of course, they know that, rental places exist. Of course, they imagine that they gotta be maintained and everything. They're not thinking much of it because honestly, we as an industry, we're not amazing at advertising this outside of our industry. The thing that kills me is if you're in a boardroom, the question that you hear most often is, what is everybody else doing? When people have their meetings at corporate meetings, right, and they're discussing marketing or whatever, occupancy, the question one person at least every meeting is going to ask, what is everybody else doing? Like, what is the next competitor doing? Instead just saying, what can we do different, right? So if we always going to be recirculating the same ideas without actually trying to go outside, out of our way, out of our industry, out of our place, our common place, to get the word, to preach the gospel of multifamily, we can't really expect that people all of a sudden will just know. And I'm going to make a parallel here, right? How many of you, by the show of hands, think that a product like Nike sells itself? No one. Because that's not true. They're spending tens of billions of dollars every year to be in your face every day. The same with Coca-Cola, the same with Apple. We could take a fraction of that. And we could do that without a lot of resources. We just need passionate people to get together and go to high schools and present those kids out there. The opportunities that we have in multifamily is not that big of a deal. You don't need so many resources. You just donate a few hours of your time. Take a few industry leaders, take them to the 10th graders and explain the 10th graders what are some alternatives to go into college. Do that constantly, long enough, and you're going to see that this paradigm is shifting. So 20 years later, I'm not talking about how I fell into the industry by accident, just like most of us here on a call. If we want to see different results, we're gonna have to start acting differently. And these are some ways. Everybody that's here on a call, they took time out of their day. They must be passionate about something about multifamily. I think this should be starting with us. Instead, like waiting for some initiative or some NAA or whatever A to start this, like it should start with us. You don't have to wait for seats at the table being created. You build your own table. People will rally because this is a great cause. Just get everybody and people will just follow because they love to be part of something bigger than themselves. And this is definitely something bigger that we could make a mark for the future.
I love that. What is the question that you, so like, I'll just talk about OpTech because many of us were there. It's a conference. People are sometimes overwhelmed with, oh my gosh, it's big. I don't know how to network, being uncomfortable, pushing yourself. What would you say is the most common question people ask you when they meet you?
This is gonna sound like, self, like how do you say, just the bragging. But the most common thing that I get is that, hi, it's really nice to meet you in person. I've been following you on LinkedIn I just wanted to say hi, just wanted to meet you in person. By the way, that makes my day every single time. But in reality, that's truly the reality. Like people that I never met in person, that are coming to me. And of course, when you have like as many followers or network members, you're not gonna know. I'm not gonna know 28,000 people. I barely know a fraction of those people, right? It's based on how often I interact with those individuals that I remember their names, who they are, and so on and so forth. But for the most part, I don't know the rest of them. Like the overwhelming majority of them, I don't know. I just think that people are craving genuine in-person interaction. And if you want to be that person to walk up to someone that's very well known in the industry, don't think that they're gonna take this the wrong way. Just take that step and just go up to them and say, hey, I know you're Mike Brewer. I know you, Mike. I just wanted to say hi. I'm Adrian from Atlanta. It's very nice to meet you in person. Like, take that first step. You'll be surprised what could come out of that. What type of conversations. Don't sell yourself short and say, hey, this is not for me. This is not my thing. The self-imposed imposed limitations are killing more dreams than any other external factors are. Just the things that are in our head. I can't do this. This is not for me. This is how I was taught in school. All those things that we grew up with, and we create all those barriers for ourselves, and we're limiting ourselves from growing. Like, just go out there, go crazy one time, and just go up to like 5 people and just say hi to them, introduce yourself to them. And if you do that enough times, I promise you that your life is gonna be different in so many ways, better ways.
I think that that is fabulous advice. And I know sometimes one of the easiest ways, in my opinion, that's great advice, but sometimes when you go to try and execute it, you trip over yourself, right? You get in your head, you're like, oh, I remember Adrian gave me this great advice, but I feel stuck. And one of the best things, and we've talked about this on past calls, is if you find somebody at a lunch table or sitting somewhere in an event space and they're by themselves, go to that one person. That's sometimes the easiest way. Like you said, don't go to try and get from 500 to 28,000, go to 501. So to me, networking is about one connection at a time. It's something that I preach. You and I share that in common. And I feel like that's where a lot of people get tripped up, is they just don't know how to take that first step. And if you focus on the small, like you've talked about, that can be less intimidating and less overwhelming. And it allows you to make a genuine connection, because if you're sitting and talking to just one person and you have a solid conversation, that's a solid new connection. That's not just a number. And so if you can at least just introduce yourself to one person and take that small bite, I think that's where you can eventually get to that 28,000. And 28,000 doesn't have to be your goal. It could be 1,000. It could be just, something small. I know you have a hard stop coming up. Does anyone have a question before he jumps off, or before I give him a few more minutes to kind of close out?
I just want to know, with all this good preaching, are you passing the plate?
Or pass the hat or something, right? It's church. Woo.
Uh, I don't think that I'm understanding your question, Paul.
Donations.
Donations? Oh, okay. Yes. Yes, for sure.
Can we quickly take a group photo for those who feel comfortable jumping off or jumping back on camera? I love to take a group photo because we've got royalty in the house. All right, ready? Okay, one. Tyler, are you driving or passenger? 1, 2,
Driving, but
3.
safely.
Okay, good. Adrian, we've got 2 minutes. What is something that is not on your LinkedIn profile, not on your resume, that you want people to know about you?
That's an amazing question. I'm a pretty open book. I should say that, what you see is what you get. People, they get to know me in person. They know that I'm not a fake. I don't build a fake persona on LinkedIn. I'm not trying to pretend to be who I'm not. It's a hard question, Tara. I haven't gotten a question as hard in a long time. What is it that very hard question.
Adrian, I have to say, I actually didn't know about the bar. That was one maybe most people don't know.
I tell the story fairly often. Of course, that's not on my LinkedIn profile. Well,
No.
I graduated over law school. If you look at my education, so you could see that over there. It's not that I was a lawyer, right? So you can see that. Probably that would be one thing.
You flip houses, you're a family man, you're a father, you're a husband. I think one of the things that I think, just to sum up, is like, and I can attest to this, you guys know that Adrian and I will do we haven't done one in a while, but we do our walk and talks. Like the Adrian you see online and on this call is exactly who you're going to get in person. And I know many of us on this call can attest to that. And I think that anyone who may have been intimidated to reach out to you because you're somewhat of an icon in our industry and you've got a lot of followers, I think this helps humanize, and that the next time they see you, you're going to find him at the airport. He's always in some Delta terminal somewhere, right? And I think that's, the fact that he is willing to open himself up for mentorship to anybody in this group is a testament that even though he's opening an empire and being the next Oprah, that he still takes time for others. So we appreciate you. I appreciate you being on this call. I think we need to do a follow-up on this session since there was a broken link and since you have a hard stop.
I would love to do that, Tara, with you as soon as you want me to. I'd love to come back. Thank you all for bearing with me. I know it's been it's been a preachy episode, right? It's been a preachy episode, but I can't help myself. I'm very passionate about these topics, so I just can't help myself. That's just who I am. Thank you so much all for being here all today, for taking the time to be here. I appreciate you all.
And I can stay on for a few minutes if some of the latecomers want to stay on.